My name is Nickel, and there was a really interesting video put out by IGN where Jeff Kaplan actually showed some unseen development footage. So in this video, he talks about some things we didn't know, but also shows us some things that he has talked about, but we haven't seen before. The first of those things that I wanted to talk about with you guys, if you guys remember in a previous video, I talked about the fact that Lucio's original ultimate was being able to slow down time for everyone else except him. As you're imagining that, it probably just sounds like a much more annoying version of Mei, but now we can actually see what that looks like. So in this build, it looks like Symmetra is playing, but that's because I'm sure they just didn't have a model for Lucio at this point, so they're using Symmetra's model. You can tell it's Lucio because in the bottom left corner of the screen, you can see Lucio's face, which, by the way, is a totally different style in terms of what they showed on there. But this clip starts off with him on Temple of Anubis, skating around, and one of the people that walks by actually has a Christmas hat on. So this is when I guess hats were something they were messing around with. Obviously, we all know there's a lot of Team Fortress 2 influence, and that's probably why they had hats here, even though we don't have hats now. But maybe that's something they'll bring back way down in the future, if it works with the skins that they have at the time. But anyway, you see Lucio as Symmetra skating around, and when the ult is dropped, everyone else is in complete slow motion. This seems extremely powerful. Also, if you notice on Temple of Anubis, right in the center of the point, there's this circle with a purple outline, which is obviously something that we don't have now. So it's really cool to actually be able to see this. Kind of like we assumed before, it was too annoying to actually keep in the game. If you imagine yourself actually playing a game, and every time there's a Lucio on either team, your whole rhythm is going to be thrown off because you're going to have to be slowed down at a much higher rate because it'll affect every other player. Unlike Mei, who's only slowing people down that she can actually reach or is within that circle. And so yeah, even if you were on that Lucio's team, you still get slowed down. And so one of the things that Jeff said was that the biggest problem was that it affected his own team. So if you were running back from the spawn room and your Lucio used his ult, it felt pretty terrible. So they got rid of it because that drastically increases the amount of time it takes to get from the spawn room back into the fight if your Lucio decides to use his ult when you're running back and only halfway there. One of the things that he talked about with Ana was that originally Ana's internal name was the Alchemist. And apparently the reasoning for this was because originally when Jeff Goodman designed her, he thought she would be a potion making alchemist. So that would be how she healed people. She's always mixing stuff together and creating concoctions in order to heal people. So it would fit her theme. But when Jeff made her a sniping healer, things kind of changed. We actually have footage here of an early development build for the Ana prototype. And for Ana, it looks like they didn't even have her icon on the bottom left corner of the screen because they show Widowmaker here, but her weapon is obviously Pharah's. Something that's also interesting to see is the UI in the upper right corner of the screen. The kill feed looks very big. But anyway, you see Ana here, and she's shooting with what looks like Pharah's rocket, but she does have the grenade already, as you can see. Jeff Kaplan said that he liked the idea of a healing sniper because it was a way to introduce a sniper into the game that wasn't also stepping on Widowmaker's toes at the same time. Which, based on that idea, makes me wonder if they are ever going to have somebody that kind of has a similar role to Widowmaker, the same way that they added Orisa when there was already a Reinhardt. And if they do add a sniper that steps on Widowmaker's toes, what would the fundamental differences be? For Mercy, apparently Mercy was the original name of Pharah, then that changed from Mercy to Rocket Dude, and then from Rocket Dude to Rocket Queen, and then eventually we got Pharah. So Mercy's original name was just Angelica. So when Pharah became the Pharah that we know, they were already familiar with calling her Mercy, and who we know as Mercy, they were familiar with calling Angelica. So he said that during the first year of Overwatch, whenever someone on their team would say switch to Mercy, they would still switch to Pharah, because that's what they were used to. He also talked about Symmetra, who initially had to have a teleporter entrance and exit. So you'd have to build both of those. And they questioned this design because apparently people would try to get creative with where the entrance point was, and a lot of times people never even found the entrance point, so people didn't use a teleporter. So they just simplified it all down to the version that we know now, which is that Symmetra just places the exit. And also he mentioned that Symmetra originally wore yellow, so maybe there'll be a skin one day about Symmetra's yellow skin. And then finally, Zenyatta, who was originally designed by Scott Mercer and was called Cybermonk. Jeff said that he was the second healer after Mercy, and the whole idea was certain characters didn't want to go into specific places, so he was designed to put orbs on people from the very beginning as Cybermonk. Anyway, this was really cool to see, but through all of these old versions of these characters, is there any aspects of them that you would like to see in the current version of Overwatch? Something I probably wouldn't want to see is Lucio's original ult, because that sounds very frustrating. But getting a skin for Symmetra based on her old design does sound pretty cool. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. One last thing before I go, if any of you guys want to submit stories for me to talk about in future videos, all you have to do is go to the Underwatch link down below in the description, and once you're there, you can see how to submit news. There's also a place where if you want to have your gameplay featured here on the channel, you can do that there as well. And that's all for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to turn on notifications.